Yes, my dear students, welcome to JK Shah classes. Myself, Professor Gaurav. Let's revise of Group 1 accounting standards, that is disclosure of accounting policy. So, it's a very small standard, just part of our understanding. Let us complete of this, not a big standard. You have to disclose your accounting policies. Okay. So, the most important area which you should remember is what are the considerations for framing an accounting policy? And the second is nothing but basic accounting assumption. Of course, for learning purpose, you might be having definition and areas of different accounting policies and objective and all these things. But for revision purpose, I can say two areas we have to remember. What are the considerations for framing an accounting policies? Nothing but very important consideration. I can say the primary consideration is true and fair view. And when I talk about other consideration, other major consideration, that is substance over legal form, prudence and materiality. So, whenever you are framing any accounting policy, these are the points which you should consider. The primary consideration, that is true and fair view, major consideration substance over form, prudence and materiality. We will always look at the substance of the transaction rather than looking at the legal form. Prudence, anticipate loss, don't anticipate gains. Materiality, no need to frame accounting policies for immaterial items, only make it for material items. And moving on to what are the basic accounting assumption? What do you mean by basic accounting assumption, friends? Nothing but these are the assumptions which are always considered to be followed. There is no need to disclose it. There is no need to disclose it. Like going concern. The entity is a going concern when you are preparing your financial statements. Hence, financial statements are prepared on historical basis. You are following accrual basis of accounting, which means incomes and expenses are recognized as and when they happen and not as and when cash is paid or cash is received. And the last is nothing but consistency. The accounting policies followed on year basis are consistent. There is no change in the accounting policy. That does not mean we are adamant, you cannot change your accounting policy. You can change your accounting policy which is given under AS 5. But you need not tell us as a financial statement maker, the company is not supposed to tell that we are following same accounting policies. We will always consider that the same accounting policies are being followed. Yeah. So, this is all about your basic accounting assumption. Of course, disclosure. What are you supposed to disclose? Significant policies. And if there is any change in an accounting policy, that is to be disclosed. Quantify it in sense, what is the effect of this change? I was following this method, now I am following this first in first out, now I am following weighted average method. So, because of this change in accounting policy, what is the impact on my financial statements? Yes, my dear students. So, these are the two things I can say important from AS 1 point. Going concern, consistency and accrual. Factors to be considered, true and fair view. And thereafter secondary consideration, prudence, substance over form and materiality. Okay. Now, classwork questions obviously are done in the class. So, I am not focusing on classwork questions. Let me go to some past paper questions. theoretical. Explain briefly two limitations of accounting standard for an accountant. What are the limitations which an accountant, obviously we have a difficulty of making choice between different treatments. So, either should I go for first in first out or should I go for weighted average method? So, it becomes difficult. Accounting standard allows two methods for inventorization. Which method should I adopt? It becomes difficult. Same way, lack of flexibility. If accounting standard is giving me some way of doing accounting, recognition or measuring something, all other ways are restricted. Then I cannot follow the other way. Yeah, that is nothing but it leads towards rigidity and away from flexibility. Okay. Now, what are the alternative measurement bases for determining the value at which an element can be recognized in balance sheet or statement of P&L? Means measurement basis, the value at which a particular item is shown in the books. The first basis is historical basis, where assets are always shown at historical cost, of course as reduced by depreciation. Current cost, nothing but if I buy the same asset at today's price, how much I have to pay, current cost. Realizable value, if I sell the asset, like I buy a car for 10 lakhs, so 10 lakhs is the historical cost. After 3 years, its value is 7 lakh because of depreciation. So I say, okay sir, this is nothing but the carrying amount, still it is referred as historical cost. But if the same car, if I want to buy, now it is available at 15 lakhs, that is nothing but current cost. NRV, settlement value, if I sell the car, how much I will get? That is nothing but realizable value. And the last is present value. This car is going to give me benefits. Now those benefits, if I quantify those benefits and discount those benefits, say for 5 years I am going to use this car, so I am going to get some rent from that car. Discount of those rent, what is the value of those rent is nothing but referred as present value of that particular asset. You can just have a historical cost, the current cost, alternative assets are carried out at amount of cash or cash equivalent that would have been paid if the same or an equivalent asset was acquired currently, if I buy it today. Liabilities are also based on that only. Realizable value, nothing but the value at which assets are carried at an amount of cash and cash equivalent that would be currently obtained by selling the asset, if I sell off my car. Present value, nothing but future net cash flows, I am going to discount it. So, present value of future net cash flows generated by the concerned asset. Clear my friends? Now, I move on to question number 3. Shankar started a business on 1st April 2017 with rupees 12 lakhs represented by 60,000 units of 20 each. Okay, so 60,000 into 20, that is nothing but 12 lakhs. During the financial year ending on 31st March 18, he sold the entire stock for 30 each. So 60,000 into 30, you would have received 18 lakhs. In order to maintain the same capital, means whatever capital you had earlier, same, calculate maximum amount at which can be withdrawn by Shankar for 17-18 if the financial capital is maintained at historical cost. Historical cost means the cost at which I had bought. I want it to be maintained at historical cost. So, can I say 60,000 into 20 is the historical cost. This is 20. I bought it 20 rupees. So, I want my capital to be at 12 lakhs. Had they risen at current cost, then I will say what is the price at which I can buy those units. So, 60,000 into that number of units at which it can be bought. So, I want a capital of 12 lakhs. My dear students, I sold off. So, I am having how much capital today? 18 lakhs. 30 rupees and 60,000 units. So, 18 lakhs. I want capital to be 12 lakhs. Historical capital should be at historical cost. I am sorry, financial capital should be at historical cost. So, 12 lakhs. So 18 minus 12, how much amount I can withdraw? Nothing but 6 lakhs. Clear? So friends, this much for AS1. Yeah, not a big standard, but a theoretical point we should remember. So let me end up the session here, a very, very small session, but thank you very much.